Ranking Member.
Thank you. First of all, I want to voice my very strong agreement with the Chairman's initial line of questioning on the importance of passing the appropriations bills in the NDAA. I would add that each week that we don't raise the debt ceiling also places our budget in jeopardy. And at the end of the day, I mean, we can argue back and forth about whether we should add $10, $20 billion to the defense budget, but vastly more important is just being able to pass it, being able to put it in place, and also to not introduce the economic insecurity that's involved with not raising the debt ceiling, let alone getting to the point where we breach that ceiling and stop paying. But that would just be devastating to our national security and everything we're talking about here. Mr. Secretary, can you talk a little bit about your goals and your objectives on recruitment? We've talked about this before to meet that challenge. Understanding, of course, that we still have the best military force in the world, and I don't think anybody should ever forget that. But what are your goals as you look forward to meet those challenges going forward?
Well, obviously each service has outlined what their requirements, what their goals are going forward. And as you know, last year, the service that fell short by the largest margin was the Army. But all of the services have recognized the challenges that we're currently facing, the headwinds that were created by a couple of years of COVID, the inability to get into high schools, the inability to engage centers of influence, and so that's 2 years worth of headwinds that we are now working to counter, to improve our efforts here. I think the services are doing the right thing in terms of investing in marketing, investing in the right kinds of recruiters, making sure that our recruiting stations are in the right places, going to where, in terms of where the applicants are, going to where they are, in the media, and also reestablishing, the connectivity that's really important. As you mentioned earlier, Chairman, this is not the first time that the military has been faced with challenges in recruiting. And I was assigned to recruiting command because we had challenges in the past as a young captain. I learned a lot about recruiting. We overcame the challenges that we were faced with by doing the right things. I am confident that our secretaries, our chiefs are doing the right things, and they are putting the right leaders in place to make sure that we turn things around. And again, each service will have different goals and objectives based upon what their requirements are, but we see the trends begin to move in the right directions. And it will take, this was a challenge that was brought on by a couple of years of COVID and other things, probably the lowest unemployment rate that we've seen in a very long time. And so it'll take a while to come out of that bathtub and get to where we need to be. But I am confident that we'll get there.
Thank you. Chairman Milley, looking at the threat from China and our partners in the region, I mentioned Japan stepping up the defense budget. We've building other partnerships with Australia, now the Philippines and elsewhere. How does that affect our ability to deter China? What role do you see those partners playing in being strong enough to deter China from aggression towards Taiwan or other neighbors in the region?
Well, not only in Asia, but one of our key advantages as a nation is our network of allies and partners around the world. And in Asia, of course, we have bilateral defense treaties. In Europe, you have NATO, but in Asia, we have bilateral defense treaties with Japan, South Korea, Thailand, Philippines, and Australia. And that is a network of alliances that is really strong. It's very powerful. You mentioned AUKUS in your opening comments. So that is a very powerful deterrent, I think, to China. When you add in the combat power that we can bring to bear, the United States military, in combination with that of our allies and partners in the region, and then add in both Britain and the UK, which have run exercises in the Asia-Pacific with us. And then there's a whole string of other countries that are very close to us, but not official Senate-ratified partners. In combination, they bring a tremendous wealth of capability both on the land, sea, and air. So in combination, that's a very significant amount of military power.
Okay. Thank you very much. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Thank the gentleman. The chair now recognizes the gentleman from South Carolina, Mr.